we sort of arrived at our decision on Shorten the Line as our tagline this year. But that really is what the ministry is about. It's not about just sort of feeding folks and seeing them again in another week. It's about providing solutions and then praying over people and helping them in many different aspects of their life to kind of break that cycle.
We have the food, but how else can we feed you and help? So the table talks help that as we continue to bring in different resources and different organizations willing to help us help others.
By being part of Faith, Hope, and Love, I personally, as representative of the Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, have been able to be in contact with a lot of the leaders of some of these food pantries, which is an invaluable resource for what we are trying to do.
So while I have been at Walnut Ridge for 4 to 6 months, I have been working with the seniors trying to get them out of their apartments, and I have not been as successful. When I was there, Faith, Hope, and Love was able to bring out 50 residents, and they've only been there twice now, and they have been able to bring out 50 of the residents and successfully bring them food, get them out, talking with other residents that they haven't seen. I overheard a lady said she hasn't seen her neighbor in over a month. So it was really nice to just see that connection.
The table talks have been an interesting experience because what it's done is allow us to explore other avenues of how we can reach out to our clients. A lot of times we get so caught up in trying to make sure we have all of the operational things handled that we don't oftentimes step back and look at the contextual, areas maybe why these people are using the food pantry.
And so the table talks for the last, this is the 12th table talk, for the last 12 months, the last year, can't believe it's been a year, they've been phenomenal as far as I'm concerned, as far as my developing relationships, my learning how to be a better leader, my learning how to better serve the community that come into our feeding ministry and our pantry, that there's a group, a collaboration of like minds with the same vision and passion that we can come together and draw from as a network.
And that really kind of typifies, I think, where Faith, Hope, and Love is at its best, and it's bringing people together. It's about relationships and helping people, even through the table talks that may not have had a chance to meet each other otherwise, come together and share best practices and really grow from it.
Hello friends, my name is Merlin Gonzalez and I am the founder and executive director of Faith, Hope, and Love. Poverty creates real challenges for individuals, their families, and our communities. Growing numbers of Indianapolis residents are struggling to make enough money to consistently feed and support their families. In order to address the systemic challenges created by poverty, Faith, Hope, and Love works to provide neighborhood food pantries in specific high-need areas with resources, capacity, and connections. The Indie Hunger Network estimates in order to feed everyone in Indianapolis who is food insecure, we need an additional 27 million meals. According to Feeding Indiana's Hungry, there are more than 1 million pushers who rely on emergency food networks such as pantries and soup kitchens. FHL understands that many of the people who go to pantries are in crisis, some of them in chronic crisis. It's a part of their lives. Most food pantries in central Indiana are neighborhood pantries inside churches and other shared space close in proximity to their clients. However, these pantries struggle with basic resources such as refrigeration for perishable foods and human capacity to meet client needs. These neighborhood pantries serve a unique purpose based on both their proximity to those living in the neighborhoods and ability to provide relationship to those being served. This allows for a greater connection beyond the food that is provided and an opportunity for the recipients' additional needs to be explored. There are over 300 neighborhood pantries in Marion County alone. What a tremendous opportunity to help that network of distribution points have a deeper impact in the neighborhood they exist. We support the heroic efforts of the neighborhood food pantries in 4 key ways, including storing and distributing food, sharing best practices in delivering food with dignity, promoting collaboration and partnership to share resources, and providing a menu of direct shared services to address physical and spiritual needs. We believe in helping the whole person. It starts with remembering we are serving people, not battling a problem. A person that deserves to be served with dignity. Beyond the physical needs that must be met is also offering prayer. Although we cannot always solve the contributing factors to why someone is in need of a food pantry, we can let them know they are loved and cared for through prayer as they visit with us. It is simple and an intentional way of caring for those that visit the pantry. All efforts need focus. For 2016 and continuing in 2017, FHL will continue to be focusing on the neighborhoods of 46208, which are some of the neediest in our city. We are working to eliminate duplicated efforts, provide services to enhance the reach of the neighborhood food pantries, and to create an environment of collaboration. A year ago, Faith Hope and Love moved our office into the MLK Community Center building at 40th and Illinois. Through getting to know the area around our new office, we have established some great connections to amazing efforts already taking place in that area, as well as resources we can use to connect to these neighborhood pantries. FHL strives to create solutions in the neighborhood, by the neighborhood, for the neighborhood. For over a year now, we have focused on collaborating with existing neighborhood food pantries in 46208 through something we call Table Talks. In these monthly meetings, we are able to create dialogue and relationship between otherwise siloed neighborhood efforts, learn from the collective experience of the 8 to 12 pantries that regularly attend, and share best practices. We believe that through collaboration come the best possible outcomes. Table Talks are all about collaboration and learning from each other. Through these talks, we are learning more about the needs of the neighborhood and of those serving in the area. This is where the FHL shared service model can really multiply the neighborhood pantry efforts through strategic support. FHL continues to provide our warehousing operation so we can facilitate food pickups from food banks and other community resources, which helps the neighborhood pantry remove the need to administer that same effort individually. For smaller pantries who are already stretched thin, this is a big efficiency improvement that can allow them to focus on people they serve, potentially even allowing some locations to be open more often with the added efficiency. In addition, our commercial walk-in refrigerator and freezer allows us to be able to store perishable foods safely and in larger quantities. This is a huge benefit to any food pantry, but even more so to a small food pantry who may not have access to refrigeration at all. This has been very successful for the 8 pantries that our warehouse serves on the east side. These pantries we work with in 46208 have seen the benefit of this system and would like to have a similar warehouse to serve their area. The great news is that we already have another commercial refrigerator donated, so we are now in search of donated space to house this warehouse in the 46208 area. Another milestone for 2016 is the opening of the FHL Training Pantry located at the MLK Community Center. This is the first of its kind in Indiana and serves to not only provide another food distribution point, but more so, a place where new ideas from the collaboration and table talks can be tested, where the pantries who are a part of the FHL Pantry Network can cross-train on various strengths of the individual pantries in 46208, where volunteers for the food pantries can be trained in the methods of serving others with dignity, where new food pantries across the state could be trained on food safety and systems of service. In 2017, we are continuing to deepen our 4 key supports of storing and distributing food, sharing best practices in delivering food with dignity, promoting collaboration and partnership to shared resources, and providing a menu of direct services to address physical and spiritual needs. Often, efforts in hunger relief are measured on numbers served or pounds of food distributed. While these are important and we want to be a part of that effort, we really desire to shorten the line, to focus relationally on the person and their greater needs as we give them food. Ultimately, we reducing the need for the very services we provide. Is this idealistic? Yes. Achievable alone? No. Worth it? No doubt. Remember, this is about people. It is a real problem, and it is here in our city. We appreciate your support and prayers.
Very nice.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Meyer, and I'm honored to serve on the board here at Faith, Hope, and Love. And the video does a great job of sharing a lot of the what and how of Faith, Hope, and Love. And if I were to kind of reduce down maybe the what of FHL, it's really focusing in on neighborhood food pantries. And you know, the how we do that is really centered around those 4 key support areas for the neighborhood food pantries. And not just seeing them as a point of distribution for food, which they are, but also an environment for relationships. And as the video mentioned, we're currently focused in the 4628 area. And you know, the idea was that we would kind of geo-focus and really focus in on some neighborhoods and try to support some efforts that are already happening and see if we can make some movement in those areas. And as that's successful, we want to look to other areas of the city too, but for now, we're really focused in on the 46208 area. You know, and all that starts with collaboration. You know, we don't come into these places presuming we have answers for people. You know, it's really about us coming in and establishing relationships first, and then figuring out what actions would need to be taken after that. And so, you know, literally we moved into the neighborhood, into the MLK Community Center that was mentioned at 40th and Illinois, and really started to get to know and ask questions of what was already taking place in the area. There was a lot of great things taking place. And only from there, try to figure out, like, you know, what can we come around and support, or what gaps are there that we might be able to help backfill. You know, table talks were really a forum that were created for us to really, I guess, you know, collect the wisdom of the area and connect the efforts that were already happening. And as you heard in the video, the FHL Training Pantry is something that's new for us this year, and it's strategically open directly after table talks each month. And it's a time that those leaders can go from the neighborhood, can come and be a part of that pantry and really test out some of the things that are being talked about best practice-wise in the table talks, and train people that would volunteer in their own pantries. So we're really excited about the connections that are happening through that. You know, as we look into 2017 and we think about some of the things that we want to focus on for our pantries, healthier foods is one of the items on the list. And you know, you heard Merlin talk about a warehousing operation that we'd like to open in the 4628 area. And with that come a lot of the efficiencies he spoke of, which are really great. And one of the other benefits is that allows us to provide more fresh fruits, vegetables, meats even, for small pantries that they may not be able to do on their own. And so that's part of our 2017 you know, initiatives, and something that you can be a part of helping fund tonight. And lastly, our shared service model. You know, the big idea here for us was, you know, how do we aggregate support for these neighborhood food pantries in ways that are needed and desired, but they couldn't do it on their own. And we spent time understanding these needs this year, and in 2017 we're really looking to step forward and try to really start fulfilling some of those. And the warehouse is the first thing, as you've heard. But we see some other opportunities too. We see an opportunity for a community advocate model. There's some mobile food pantry options that we're looking at. And also there's some projects around just reducing the need for our clients to rely on emergency food, period, and really shorten the line. Your support really helps us dive into these areas, and what we really try to do is provide kind of a multiplier effect to the things that are already taking place in the neighborhoods. And I wanted to introduce you to a few folks that are part of those efforts that are happening. And there's 3 folks I'd like to come up. You guys know who you are, so I'm going to introduce you as you're kind of coming up here. We have Lydia Davis, and she's the food ministry leader at Barnes United Methodist, and she's a faithful attendee of our table talks. Sam Manning, come on up. He's been part of an incubation program that Faith Hope and Love has for launching new pantries, and he's going to talk a little bit about the pantry that he's launching. And Charles Rent, and he is a deacon. We're going to be back here. Let's roll that. He's a deacon at 25th Street Baptist in the church, and he works with their weekly soup kitchen. And so, I thought we could ask you guys a couple questions, or one question actually, and have you guys share a little bit. Have you come on here? You get me, once you mute me, and I'll take the mic for a second. Is that good? Can you hear me now? All right. Perfect. Lydia, we're going to start with you, okay? Lee, you know, at Barnes United Methodist, you guys have a thriving food ministry there. And can you tell us a little bit about, like, since you've been attending the table talks, how has that helped your awareness and relationship with other efforts that are happening in that? Yes? That seems like a bad thing. Try it out. Try it. And this one is working. I'm going to give you the mic.
Okay.
Did you get that question? Okay. Go right ahead.
Did I get that question? Yes, again, I'm a minister of Barnes United Methodist Church, and we have a feeding ministry and food pantry twice a week, Sundays and Wednesdays. And since our relationship with Faith, Hope, and Love, I've been attending the table talks since the beginning, the very first one. My sensitivity to those that come to the door has heightened. I've learned a lot. I've built relationships amongst the other leaders and pantries, and I've actually gone around to a couple of the soup kitchens, dropping in and serving and observing how they run their soup kitchens or their pantries. For me, acquiring more information helps me be a better leader at ours, as well as better able to serve those that come through our doors. So it's helped me build relationships as well as the knowledge, and then to have those, I've had a situation where one of the other pantries that I would not have met had I not attended the table talk, where she had someone come in and she didn't have the resources or the help, so she called me. I was in the middle of our feeding ministry, and she called me and asked, "Can she send me someone?" And I just told them to ask for me when they came. So had we not built that relationship, that network, that would have been possible, and that is a great help to be able to have someone that we can call and reach out on who is also doing the same thing, or they may have extra resources that I don't have access to, extra knowledge that I don't have access to. So the table talks and the community has been a blessing, not just for me and my team in helping to also care for our volunteers, as well as to try to change the mindset a little bit of those that come in, and to help others realize that everyone that walks through our doors are not chemically dependent. They're not on alcohol, or they're not homeless. So it allowed me to be more sensitive to those that are coming in and try to meet individual needs and pray individually, and know where I can go for resources.
Thank you so much for that. Sam, you are starting a new pantry.
Yes.
And maybe you could share a little bit about, what led you to feel like you need to do that. Maybe who are the people you're serving?
Okay. I am a pastor at Walnut Ridge Community, Senior Active Living Facility, and they're set in a place where there is only one bus that runs downtown, then they have to catch another bus to get to a market, and then from the market back downtown to get home. For seniors, that's almost impossible, especially on rainy days. They are actually, or they were actually purchasing their groceries and their food from the gas station across the street, because that was more convenient for them to buy beanie weenies for $1.38 on their fixed income, or eat roller food, hot dogs and Polish sausages off of a rolling heater. And that's what they were surviving on. Somebody had to do something, and the Lord put it on my heart, and I prayed about it, and that led me to Merlin through a connection that was given me, and from there it has really turned it completely around. On the video, you probably heard Megan speak about the seniors coming out of their apartments and meeting their neighbors that they have never met or have never seen since they've been there. The isolationism was running rampant through that senior facility. Now they're there, and they came out 50 strong, 78 apartments with caregivers and all of that, looking forward to the food that we are able to provide through Faith, Hope, and Love. Fresh produce, organically grown. And Megan and her agency is going to monitor their blood sugar, give them diabetes screenings, high blood pressure, and all of that, and follow that through for the next year to see the impact that it'll have on their health. I am so looking forward to the results of those tests, and I'm so grateful for Merlin and Faith, Hope, and Love for the opportunity that he has given us in order to save our seniors. Thank you, Merlin.
Thank you, Sam. You know, Charles, one of the ways that we connect and show love to people that visit is to pray with them. And maybe you could share a little bit about a recent experience you had with that.
Where's Merlin? Thanks, Merlin. Again, my name is Charles Redd, and I've been working with the Faithful Ministry for, well, maybe 6 months. And I just recently got recruited to one of the prayer teams. And I was told that we needed a male presence, you know, on the prayer teams or with the prayer teams. And so I was convicted that maybe I should do that. The first person that was brought to me sat down, talked to the person to try to find out what their need was. And the young lady told me that she was going for an interview the next day. I said, then what we'll do, we'll pray for the success of your interview so that you get the job. And we prayed for her. And when I was done praying, she says, is it okay if I pray for you? I said, well, yes, okay. So she prayed for me as well. And I took her name and phone number, and I said, I'd like to call you in a couple of days and see how the interview went. And so I called her a couple of days later, and I said, what do you think? She said, well, I think the interview went very well. It was very successful. She said, but I haven't heard from him since the interview. I said, okay, let's exercise a little patience. I'll call you in another week. I called her a week later. Did you get the job? I'm excited. No, I didn't get the job. Oh, my goodness. But I am working. And it appears that the job that she got is better than the one that she had interviewed for. So what it illustrates to me is that we don't always know how God's going to answer our prayer. Yeah. We may be expecting it to come this way, and he brings it to us another way. But there was success in that, and so I think that one of the things, and of course I get help with this as well, because when I see prayers being answered, it just reinforces my faith. Thank you.
Amen. What a big round. You know, we've shared a lot of info tonight about the what and the how of what we're doing. But I think these interviews start to really get to the heart of why we do it. And I want to talk a little about kind of the heart of FHL. Maybe some reasons why you might want to connect with what we're doing. You know, the heart of what we're doing is really about loving people. And as a faith-based organization, we really think about it as like reaching out with two hands of the gospel. A hand that's reaching out giving, and a hand that's reaching out and embracing. And you know, we have pretty low requirements for that. You know, we feed people because they're hungry and they're there. And we love them because they're people. You know, and so Isaiah 58:10 says, give your food to the hungry and care for the homeless. Then your light will shine in the dark. Your darkest hour will be like the noonday sun. You know, and both light and love is often used as a descriptor of God. And so you could say, you know, if you're giving someone and showing them love, that you're being a light for them. And you could maybe even say that a practical way somebody can experience God is for you to know and love them. And, you know, Isaiah was a prophet, and in his time he was, you know, trying to reshape some thinking of what was going on back then. In the context of him writing that verse, you know, he's really talking to the people and saying, you know, don't just give to the poor, but you should give out of the charity of your heart, right? And that's something a little bit different. Don't try to meet the minimum requirement to the poor, but you should give out of an outflow of generosity from your heart. You know, and that's really, I think, the heart of FHL is really about generosity to the people that we serve. And, you know, I think about a quote from Dietrich Bonhoeffer that we've used a few times, and it really gets to the heart of this. It says, not until one person desires to keep his own bread for himself does hunger ensue. I think, we know there's enough resources. And we also know that charity alone does not shorten the line. But I think a spirit of, and a heart of generosity, saying I'm willing to invest my time, my resources, my abilities, that willingness, that does change things. And at the end of the day, this is about people, and it's people who are hungry. And hunger is a problem, and hunger is a real issue. And we study issues, but we get to know people, and we solve problems, right? But we love people. And we want to invite you to consider investing in loving our neighbors through FHL tonight. And to talk more about that, I want to introduce you to another board member. His name is Terry Holloway, and I have him come out. He's a new board member. He's going to share a little about his experience with Faith, Hope, and Love. So welcome, Terry.
Thank you, Charlie. It is an honor for me to spend a couple minutes with you this evening to talk about Faith, Hope, and Love. It's really meant a lot to me in the last year, and I really do mean that. It's been exactly a year that I've been involved, because a year ago I was actually sitting in your seat, just a year ago today. And so I had a buddy of mine, Todd, who's also on the board, Todd Armstrong, and he came to me and he said, hey, I know you do some volunteer work with some local soup kitchens and things like that. You might want to think about coming to this fundraising dinner and hearing what it's about. So I did that, and obviously it was impactful to me in a great way. But the interesting thing is, after I heard the message, I just felt like I couldn't stand idly anymore. I really needed to get involved. But the one thing that I want you to walk away with, I want you to remember this question, because I kept asking myself this after I saw the videos that were new this year, but they were just as impactful last year. The question I kept asking myself is, how much longer can we wait? How much longer can we wait? As a city, individually, or your companies or whatever, how much longer can we wait to do something about the crisis that you heard Merlin talking about earlier? And so, after hearing the message, the interesting thing was it just really didn't make a lot of sense to me. Because, probably a lot of volunteers for Gleaners Food Bank, some volunteers. Yeah, it's a great organization, amazing organization. And when you see it, you just see the power. It's just, there's so much food, and there's so many volunteers that are willing. And even the local soup kitchens that I worked at, so many impactful volunteers that are so passionate about it. In fact, some of the places would tell me, they would say, we throw away a lot of food at the end of the day. Kind of goes to waste. And one of the leaders of the food pantry actually said to me, he's like, hey, Brother Terry, if you're hungry in Indianapolis, you want to be hungry, because there's plenty of food to go around. And so I came to the message, and I'm like, man, 27 million meals missed in a year in our city? That just doesn't make sense to me. And so I really was sort of moved in to get involved with the ministry, and I began to see why. And to us, it's really about filling those gaps. There are great resources in our city, great resources. But there are also food pantries that unfortunately are going away because they don't have enough resource, they don't have connections. And that's really the point. I think if you heard Merlin say this earlier, and a lot of what Charlie said too, Faith, Hope, and Love is really about relationships. So let me just kind of put a pin in the food pantry stuff for now, and let me talk to you about another issue. So this is stuff you've probably heard. I'm just going to read some of this stuff off. It's about crime in our city. So in 2015, that was the deadliest year recorded in our city by a wide margin. Homicides, there were 144 criminal homicides committed last year in our city. 144, the worst ever in 2015. So I go back to that question that I mentioned a little bit earlier that I wanted you guys to remember. How much longer can we really afford to wait? Before we decide to come together as a community and do something about this. I was telling some friends of ours, Tracy, Anthony, and some of the other folks here, that Merlin and I had a great opportunity to minister with Lydia at Barnes County Methodist Church. And one of the things I walked away with is they get it as a community. There were so many passionate volunteers that were there giving There were more than enough volunteers to service all the folks that came in that evening. We had a chance to meet Reverend Charles Harrison, and if you haven't heard of Reverend Harrison, you should go out and Google him. He is an amazing minister that started the 10-Point Coalition in our city. So Reverend Harrison asked himself that question, how much longer can we wait in our city? And he said, not another minute. And crime has come down considerably in our city, especially 46208 in the Butler-Tarkington area. I think you were just telling me, Lydia, that they just hit their year mark for no criminal homicides in that area. That's tremendous, and you can point back to some of the work that 10 Point's doing in that regard, because Reverend Harrison decided, I'm not waiting another minute, I'm getting involved today. We believe that hunger, poor health, unemployment, all of these things, crime, are all connected. And we probably heard a little bit about this in the video, but that's what we talk about when we mean shorten the line. It's not just continue to just crank out as much food as we can, because the reality is that's not shortening the line. It's taking care of the immediate need, isn't it? But it's not helping people's health. It's not helping people get jobs. It's not really doing much about crime. We believe if we can systematically attack these issues together, that we can really make a difference. And we've seen that just over and over again. So, like I mentioned earlier, the one thing that I want you guys to remember what Faith, Hope, and Love is about is building relationships specifically. And you can see that like the night that we had at Barnes. You can see it. It's working. You can go there and you can get a warm meal that evening, and you can go home with a bag of groceries, and you're going to get ministered to that night. You're going to hear a great message. You're going to have people pray over you, and it's making a difference. But we're also partnering with Anthem. This has just been an incredible thing. The way God works sometimes, you know, when you expect and you make all these plans to say, we're going to do this, and we're going to get a health insurance company involved, and they approached us. Just like that, they approached us. And they said, hey, you know, we hear you've got some of these food pantries going, and there might be a need for us. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great suggestion. Come on board. And before you know it, they're coming to most of our food pantries. And would you believe that some of these people that we serve now have free insurance? They're Medicaid eligible, and now they have free insurance as a result of it. That's God working. And it's certainly not us running around doing all the right things, because as we know, sometimes it's just about being there and watching God do the work. So, you know, one of the things, too, that kind of occurred to me even as I was watching the video is that if we're really going to make this work, it's about what Merlin has said over and over again. It's about recreating community. You know, it's about the way our parents and grandparents used to do it, right? That we were so connected to our communities, and people cared about one another, and people came beside one another. And that's exactly what the ministry of Faith, Hope, and Love is about. I've seen it. I've watched it happen over and over again this year. It's been an incredible thing to see. These table talks are just amazing. You know, and Merlin got these started roughly a year or so ago. And watching different pantries come together, different churches come together, different organizations come together and learn from each other. That's what it's about. It's helping people sort of recognize the power of community. That's the way it says in the scriptures that we're supposed to operate. We're supposed to lift each other up, and we're supposed to come alongside one another. So, the answer for me was I couldn't wait another minute either. And I really wanted to get involved. I joined the board, and it's just been an incredible thing to see. You know, we talk a lot about the food pantries and these great ministries that give back, but sometimes there's just a point where they need to be connected to one another, and that's the area that we feel, that's the gap that we try to connect to. So, what can you do to get involved? Well, there's lots of opportunity. Obviously, there's many opportunities to volunteer at some of our food pantries. You know, we have a great resource now in our training food pantry, so you'll get good training to help out if you'd like to do that. Obviously, prayer. I mean, everyone here can pray, right? And when you're on your knees every night, make sure you mention Faith, Hope, and Love to the Lord, because we could certainly use more prayer. The other thing you can do is give, and there's a number of ways that you can do that. We've actually made it kind of easy for you this evening. You have cards in front of you there, and I think we've got a slide we can pull up to even show that. So at your table in front of all of you, at your place setting, you see pledge cards, and I'll walk through this with you. One of the things I don't think we mentioned a little bit earlier is just how the Lord kind of multiplies what you give. And every dollar that you give to Faith, Hope, and Love, we're able to get $10 of benefit for that back into the community. That's a better deal than you'll get anywhere. So I'd like to walk through this with you as you're kind of looking at it and thinking through how you'd like to give. So the pledge card, there's a number of ways that you can give there. As you can see, there's 3 gift opportunities. Over 5 years if you'd like to kind of give over a longer period of time. And then you can give quarterly, monthly, yearly, whatever kind of fits your budget and your style of giving. And you can also contribute, even $8,000 will cover one pantry. Or you can also give a one-time gift that you can fill in this evening too. So I see lots of people reaching for the gift cards, and that's a great thing. So, moving on to the next one there's lots of payment options too. If you brought your checkbook tonight, there you can kind of fill that out and then include a check and make that out to Faith, Hope, and Love or FHL. And then you can also use your credit card. As you can see there's an easy way to fill that out. All of the info on there is required. And our promise to you is that once we enter your credit card information, we shred all of that data. We don't keep it for any reason whatsoever. And then specifically, if you, this is your receipt also that you can take with you, but we'll also get back to you with your giving, so you can be ready when tax time comes around. You can also give online, if you like. Go to fhlcommunity.org and then click on the donate button that you see there in the corner, and then you can enter in your information. Comes up here, the next one. Yeah, click your donate button, and then you can even be clear about who you would like to donate it to. If there's somebody special that you lost in the past year or something like that, if you'd like to make a contribution on behalf of that individual, you can too. And then you can actually, on the last slide, it talks a little bit about the fact that you can use PayPal too, on the very last slide. So if you have a PayPal account, you can use that just as easily as you do for anything that you buy online. You can use PayPal here, or you can actually sign up for PayPal as well, if that makes some sense. All right, well, I hope this has been a good evening for you to hear some good information about FHL, and also to be inspired in some way to volunteer, or through prayer, or through giving this evening. I see a lot of you writing, so that's great news. So with that, we actually have kind of some late-breaking news that we would like to share in the past week or so that was a tremendous blessing to the ministry. I'm going to ask Donna to come and talk to a special gift that was given to us, and a matching opportunity, even separate from what you're doing this evening. Donna's going to describe that to us. Very excited, Donna.
We're excited. We had an opportunity to meet Jenny Sam from Modern Women. If you'd like to stand up. It was just came out of a spur of a moment prayer to the Lord, asking the Lord for some backpacks to give to children of one of the or the incubation ministries that we incubate and help feed children this summer. And then through that prayer, the Lord supernaturally connected us to Jenny. And then after we had such an awesome time together, we built a relationship, she comes back to us with a great opportunity. And with her society, I guess that's what your organization, nonprofit organization, they have offered, they needed an event to come to, and so we provided her the opportunity tonight, and they have offered to match $2,500 with funds for somebody that would be a company or an individual be willing to match those funds tonight. So we're looking forward to seeing who the Lord has on their hearts for that. But we're just so grateful for you, Jenny, and we appreciate you.
Wow, this is really exciting. So this is a great opportunity, guys, and it's just like we were talking about earlier. Sometimes you maybe didn't have this on your heart when you came in here, but I know the Lord is working on several of you. So let's just throw it to the group. Are there any organizations or individuals that would like to give $2,500 for the $2,500 match?
12 months ago, we didn't know anyone. And the Lord had provided us the things that we need, the people, and that's only through your prayers. And, if you can't give tonight financially, I think Terry mentioned you can be a board member, and also, my wife mentioned that your card, just put it in blue envelope, your card, and then after that put it in the green envelope in the middle so that our volunteers will be able to collect that. But yeah, volunteer, as Annie mentioned, and also maybe in-kind donation. You need a building. You need a truck. And the truck that we were using is not operable right now. But one person, one company, allow us to use a 24-footer truck twice a month. But we've come to the point now that we need a truck, we need a building to be able to serve more. So, but you know what, God is providing us so much. And through your prayers, through your support, through your encouragement, we were able to do this. And again, it's a privilege to have you all here. So I'm going to pray, close the prayer, but we will have dessert afterwards. So if you need to leave right away, we will have shelf for you available at 9:10, and then she'll leave back. But one of the encourage you to stay though and mingle, because as what Terry mentioned and Charlie mentioned, it's about community. It's just not it's different if there's no relationship. And that's what, so, you know, spend maybe 5 minutes, get to know your neighbors and across the table. But want to let you know too, one of the desserts I pick. So you want to stay for the dessert. Okay, well, let's go ahead and pray and thank you, Lord. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks today. Lord, it's a privilege to be called your sons and daughters. It's, Lord, grace, Lord, directly from heaven, Lord, to be here. Lord, to represent you wherever we go. Lord, to receive that delegated authority that we have, Lord, through your Son, Jesus Christ. Lord, that we are commissioned to go out and bring hope to people, into our communities. And Lord, give us capacity to be able to do the things that you have already ordained to do, as what you said in Ephesians. That you already prepared good things ahead of time, Lord, and showed us those things to us. And Lord, I ask, Lord, that for those who are able to give, Lord, to bless them abundantly. Financially, prayer, support, anything, Lord, that they are giving, Lord, that bless them. And Lord, I ask that you multiply the blessings. And Lord, I ask for extra portion of favor for everyone in here, Lord, for their families, for their businesses, for their ministries, Lord. I ask, Lord, for blessing, abundant blessing. And Lord, I ask that you multiply, Lord, the blessings that is already here and still yet to come. Because you said, Lord, that better things is still yet to come. And I just want to share that with all of you. I think that's what I just felt like the Lord is saying to all of us. Better things, greater things is yet to come. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen.
So again, we have to serve and just mingle. Thank you so much.